Welcome everyone to this new video for the ProQuest Gauntlet series, and I'm thrilled today to be joined by Jonny Chapman, a long-time TCG player. He made a couple of Pro Tours, Worlds, and he also qualified for Pro Tour number 1 in New Jersey with Starvo. And he also played Rhinar at Calling Krakow, and it was the only day 2 player with Rhinar. Hey, Jonny, how are you?
Hey, Pedro. I'm very, very good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Today we're going to show you a very interesting matchup, especially if you are going to play CC this weekend for the last weekend of ProQuest. I will be playing Lexi, the Yuki list, who made top 32 at the Pro Tour. I think it's an amazing metagame call right now. He has an amazing matchup against Chain and all the wild decks. So if your metagame is full of wild decks, aggro decks, you should go for it. And Jonny is playing Rhinar, which is, I think, a really good matchup against Fatigue and Control decks, but also against Prism. So he's gonna explain us why in a few seconds. But before, I'm gonna show you Yuki's list of Lexi. So the three main cards are Three of a Kind, Art of War, and Rain Razors. Art of War and Rain Razors will allow your arrows to be bigger, and because you will shot like 3, 4, 5, sometimes if you're lucky with Three of a Kind, you can shoot 6 arrows. So it's a wild deck against control decks, but it's also a very good less wild decks, but kind of a prison deck against aggro decks. So the control cards are Chilling Ice Vein and Winter's Bite, who are really important against aggro, because if it hits, Chilling Ice Vein will force your opponent to discard a card or pay 1. Then you have Blizzard Bolt and Ice Quake, who will make Frostbite if your opponent take the damage from your arrows. And Fatigue Shot, which is amazing against Starvo, and also think against Rhinar, because it will halve the damage of the first attack next turn, rounded up. And the last things to know about Lexi is those 3 cards, Endless Arrow, Pathing, Helix, and Bolt and Shot, who will allow you to reload or to get more arrow in your hand if you hit. So that basically the 3 parts really important in the deck. What about your Rhinar list, Jonny?
Thank you, Pierre. So Rhinar has a hero power that says when you discard a card with 6 or more power, you intimidate, which means that you take a card from your opponent's hand for the remainder of the turn. And it goes into banish, so they're not able to play or block with it. So Rhinar has a lot of 6 attacks and ways to discard 6 attacks and to intimidate your opponent. However, against Lexi, it's a bit of a troublesome matchup. Lexi's on-hit effects are quite brutal. So we actually want to dial back the number of aggressive 6 attacks that we have, like Bare Fangs and Pulping, which have no block whatsoever, and replace them with some defense reacts. And what we want to be trying to do is set up Pummel on top of a Command and Conquer, which can be devastating against a Lexi opponent. And we also want to set up Blood Rush Bellows, which is a card that gives +2 damage to all brute attacks and allows our claws to hit for 5 each, and then another big attack. So we want to be defending a lot, and then Blood Rush Bellows or Command and Conquer and CNC and Pummel.
I really hope that the CNC and Pummel won't hit my poor Lexi. It's going to be devastating. Why do you think is a good deck right now in the meta, and why it will be amazing after Chain and Starvo will be gone?
If your meta has a lot of chain, then people might respond with playing Starvo. And if people do that, then the next evolution is that people will play Prism to hit Starvo. Now, if you found yourself that your meta's at that point, Rhinar's fantastic into Prism. It's also quite fantastic into Oldhim as well, these sort of slow decks that want to control and block. I do feel it will get a lot better in the new meta when we get some more cards, some more heroes and stuff. But in general, Rhino is a deck that people don't prepare for very well, or don't prepare for at all. So you might just catch people with the element of surprise and find yourself winning a few games.
So I'm not really familiar with Rhinar. So if you say that it's a fantastic matchup against Prism and Fatigue decks, I suppose it's that you can set up for big intimidate, multiple intimidate turn, and they won't be able to defend, right?
Exactly. You can pitch stack Barraging Beatdown, which is a free cost spell that intimidates your opponent and adds damage to your attacks. So if you can pitch stack 3 of those together, inevitably you're going to have enough time that you can sort of play 3, leave them with nothing to block with, and hit them with a big attack. And you can go through this and a couple of times, but you can also get some chip damage in as well in between those pitch stacks, because it does take a while to get back round. Cards like Alpha Rampage can intimidate up to 3 cards at a time from one card. So there's multiple ways that Oldhim and other control decks will just have 1 or 0 cards to block with, and they're going to run out of armor eventually. There aren't like amazing on hits in Rhinar, so it's a bit easier to use your armor. But in general, if you get to that late game, remove all of their blocks and hit them for 20 damage plus in a turn with Blood Rush Bellow. And for Prism, one of the problems with Prism is that Spectra is a ridiculous ability that removes Go Again. So if you have Scabskin Leathers, you can roll fairly easily and quite liberally in order to kill an aura and kill and attack your opponent. Or get Go Again inherently from some of Rhinar's cards into a claw onto an aura. So Prism has a pretty miserable time under that kind of pressure.
And I think it's even worse against the Herald version, where all your attack have Sex Plus.
Yeah, if you've got a pure Herald version and you're up against Rhinar, you should probably just go and get a cup of tea and maybe refresh. Get to see the city the ProQuest in for half an hour or so. Come back refreshed because you're not winning.
So if there is Rhinar in your metagame, just play Aura, no Phantasm.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. Let's roll. What do you choose between odd or even?
The most important decision in the entire match. I'll choose even, please.
It's 5.
That's even, right?
So Yuki say that you should go first with this deck, except in mirror match. So I will go first. Good luck, have fun.
Good luck. Hope you win.
I will try. Let's stick up the tunic. I will pitch for Voltaire and put an elix and narrow. I will give it +1. And then I will pass priority to you.
Okay, cool. We'll go to my turn.
I will Arsenal first. And I will draw.
Cool. I will put a tunic counter on. It's always wise to not forget that.
I really want to. I really want to set up Lexi. Is a 2 pony trick. You can go as wild as you can every turn, or do as many frostbite as you can against aggressive decks. But against control decks, Yuki, she said that it's better to have really small turns in order to set up really big turns so you can pass over the defense. And it's a really good general rule of thumb against any control decks. You don't want to make average damage every turn. It won't work. and I suspect Jonny to try to control as much as he can. So if I attack first turn and don't put 2 cards in my arsenal on turn 1, my next turn will be smaller, and it's not working that way, especially on turn 1 when your opponent have 3 blocks. He can block for 3. So I really want to put as much pressure next turn, and probably the turn after that, I will do a small turn to get as many cards as I can in my arsenal to be able to make another big turn the turn after. That's my general strategy for this matchup.
So my hand has a very powerful card in Command and Conquer in it, and I would like to threaten Pierre with this. It's a lot less threatening when you don't have a pummel, which I may or may not have. But having no blocks in your hand after your opponent has set up a big hand is really, really bad. So I could just pitch Smash Instinct and play Command and Conquer and give Pedro the opportunity to maybe overblock, fearing a pummel. But because I've got a Wild Ride in my hand that doesn't block, I really want to get rid of it. So what I'm actually going to do is overpitch for my Command and Conquer, which does kind of remove the element of bluffing. However, it does mean that maybe my bluff gets called and I end up with a no block in my hand. So I'm going to overpitch with the Wild Ride and the Yellow Smash Instinct and play Command and Conquer for 6 and Arsenal this card. This still demands a block. I have 1 resource floating.
Yeah, because I'm not supposed to know that you don't have pummel, I can deduce it that you have only 1 card in hand and 1 pitch floating. So I will just delay my big turn, and I will just block for 6 with 2 blues.
Cool. And then I would like to move to my end step, please.
Yeah.
I will Arsenal and pass to you.
So now my turn is not as good as it should be, but it's okay. I tick up my tunic and I will wait a little bit. So I will pitch red. Sorry, I will use Lexi to show you Icequake. So I give you a frostbite.
Okay. I will take a frostbite.
And because I want to set up and keep as much card as I want, like 2 cards in my arsenal will be perfect to have a 6 card hand, I will just attack with Passing Helix for 4. If that hits, and you have no card in your arsenal, you may put a card face down in your arsenal, which is not the case because I have Icequake.
So this is 4 no-go again.
4 no-go again.
Cool. So because the on-hit isn't that scary, I could just take 4. I don't really want to use any of my equipment, and because of the frostbite, if I now want to play Alpha Rampage, it's actually going to cost me 4 instead of 3. So is there any other way I can play my hand? Frostbite makes things very awkward in general. So I'm going to take 4 damage.
Okay. You go to 36.
Yep.
And I will arsenal and pass and draw 3 cards. I could have played the Icequake, but in that case, my next turn will be only 5 cards, and I really want 6 cards every 2 turns. So I'm okay to let Jonny strike back, lose a little bit of life because in CC you can take damage more than in Blitz. And also Rhinar doesn't have a lot of on-hit effects, so it's really fine to make a big turn every 2 turns and let him strike me back every 2 turns when I have a small turn. And it's really fine because, except for Command and Conquer, but the rest of the time, it's really okay.
So we go to my turn. I will take up my Spring Tunic. So in order to play Alpha Rampage that normally costs 3, I have to pay 4. So I will pitch a yellow Pummel and a blue High Roller for 5 resources, leaving me 1 floating. And then I will play Alpha Rampage, Melting the Frostbite. And the card I discard is a blue Wrecker Rump. So because it's a 6 that I'm discarding, Rhinar will intimidate, and Alpha Rampage also has inbuilt intimidate. So we're going to intimidate here for 2 cards.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
Number 3.
Okay, and now it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Number 3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And this is coming in for a light 9.
Okay, so that was exactly my plan. Just taking damage, give my full hand, and try to push as many damage as I can. So I'm going to take 9, 31 to 36.
That's the end of my turn.
I will get back my cards, intimidate cards. I will tick up my tunic, and I will try to make a turn as big as I can. So I will use my resource from tunic to play a 3 of a kind. Now I will draw 3 cards, and I can only play cards from my arsenal, which could be an issue. But thanks to Bulleye Bracers, Voltaire, and some cards that give me reloads, I might be able to play still a lot of arrow in the same turn. So I draw 3. My hand is now 6 cards, thanks to the tunic, which is pretty amazing. I will pitch this Art of War, which would be amazing if I had a way to play it with a reload or already in my arsenal. But because I draw it with 3 of a kind, it will be really hard to put it in my arsenal in order to play it. And also I didn't draw any blue cards, which is always an issue when you have a lot of arrow to shoot in the same turn. But I'm happy to pitch 3 of a kind, 1 resource left, and I play Icequake. My next attack will have +3. And also whenever an attack hits a hero this turn, create Frostbite under their control. Now with my last resource, I will use Voltaire. And I will put a bolt and shot. And I will give it +1. So this will attack for 8. Go again. If it hits, I can reload.
Just 8.
Just 8. Yeah.
Okay. So in my position, obviously there's a power turn going on for the op, so I need to defend as much as I can, really. I'm not too concerned about getting frostbites because I don't really envisage doing anything on my turn apart from ticking up my tunic and passing back. So I can take little bits of damage to try and block a bit more efficiently. I'll probably keep this in my hand the longest, just in case I actually do get to swing with a claw next turn. So I'm going to block for 6 with a Savage Swing and a Barraging Bighorn, and pass priority to you.
So no effect, you will take 2, going to 34. And because it hits, I can reload. But if I reload, it may be difficult for me to go again without sacrificing my Snapdragon Scalers. So I want you the reload effect. And I will pitch one to use Voltaire and give +1 to bolt and shot. And I will attack for 5. Go again. If it hits, I can reload.
So here we don't want Pierre to reload. So we're just going to block for 6 and see what happens. Because Voltaire's been used twice now. So block with a blue high roller and a yellow barraging beatdown for 6 total.
Okay, and now I will attack for a friendly 5, pitching a red once again. No go again.
Any on hit abilities apart from the frostbite?
No, because I didn't fuse it, so it's just a friendly 5.
Okay, so I do have a nice card in the arsenal, but I don't think this is the right time to use this. I think we're just going to take 5. Go to 29 and try to use this to pivot later rather than just preventing some damage now that doesn't have any disastrous effects for us.
Okay, at the end of turn I will arsenal, and I'm okay with this turn. It's not as amazing as if I had a blue, but I still put some damage and set up my arsenal for next turn. I kept my 2 equipments were really important for big turn, so I'm pretty okay right now.
Certainly painful. My turn is tick up the tunic and pass to my end step. At which point the frostbite will melt, and I'll draw 4 cards.
Tick up my tunic. I will use Lexi to create a new space, because New Horizons say that when you have a card face up, you have another arsenal. So I'm going to pitch 3. Channel like Frigid could be a nice card against defense reactions, but because it costs 3, it's too much resource to play it against control decks. Against aggressive decks, you are happy to play it anyway. I will play a bolt and shot, put a bolt and shot in my arsenal with Voltaire and give +1. So that means that we'll attack for 5 go again. If it hits, I can reload.
And you have 2 cards remaining. So this isn't really a hand that I really want to pivot with too much. Like, Alpha Rampage can get some damage through, but it's not really worth tanking to get, light damage that doesn't really do anything aside from remove a few life points. Is this an opportunity where I want to use a scab skin? I do want to prevent the reload. That would be pretty nice. I kind of want to keep a blue in hand so I can whack back with a claw. I think in that case, what I'm going to do is block for 6 with a Savage Swing and an Alpha Rampage.
Okay, I will use Voltaire once again and put a Blizzard Bolt in my arsenal, and I will give it I can give it go again and no setup for next turn, and I can shoot my 2 arrows, or I can give it +1 and set up a bigger arsenal for next turn. Because you have 2 cards in hand, and also you have a card in your arsenal, I think I want to set up and give +1 to my Blizzard Bolt, and I will attack for 6, and I will show you Icequake. So if it hits, you will get a Frostbite. No go again. Still have the Dragon's Snapdragon Scaler though. So 6 no go again. Frostbite on it.
So in this situation, I kind of want to start getting a bit of damage back. I don't really care too much about the frostbite because I can pitch a blue and attack with a claw and still keep an arsenal. What my aim is to try and find a big Blood Rush Bellows turn where I can do a lot of damage. So I'm willing to trade a little bit to get to the point where my Blood Rush Bellows turn can put Pierre on the back foot so much that he's forced to block a lot, and I can gain a lot of tempo from that. So with that in mind, my choice is: do I block with the Barraging Beatdown or the Sand Sketch Plan? I'm actually going to block with the Sand Sketch Plan. Not that I think we're going to get to a second cycle per se. So I'll block for 3 with my Sand Sketch Plan blue.
So you take 3 on a Frostbite.
Yep, 26.
26. I will Arsenal and pass.
Cool. So my turn is simply pitch Blue Barraging Beatdown to melt the Frostbite and attack you with my right-handed claw.
That's 3.
Friendly 3.
I will check, but I think pretty sure I'm gonna use my all hand, so I will happily go down to 28.
Terrifying. Okay, that's the end of my turn.
Okay, I will tick up my tunic. Give you a frostbite with Lexi.
I will think about that.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking about here is, because I might be wanting to use one of my defense reactions this turn, I'm thinking of taking a resource and having it floating, so that if I want to play a 0-cost defense reaction, I can do so without having to get rid of another card. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 1 resource in response to your frostbite
Activation, yeah. Okay. So you have 1. Now you get a frostbite. Now I'll pitch a blue to play Icequake. When you wanna do some wild turns with a lot of go again, and you have already 2 cards in your arsenal, you need to play 1 first to remove space, keeping 1 card face up, so you can use Voltaire to give go again to your next arrow. So that's really important to remove 1 space first. If I shoot this arrow right now, I have no way to give it go again, except if I sacrifice my Dragon's Cap Scalers. That's why it's important to always have, when you finish your turn with 2 cards, there is 1 you should play before shooting your arrows, if you wanna go wild. So my next attack will gain +1, and whenever an attack hits, you get a frostbite. Now I am able to play Voltaire and put a Shilling Guy's Vein, which I will give go again. And for 1, I will attack for 4 go again, and because it's fused, every attack now that hit give you 2 frostbites. No, 1 frostbite, and you discard unless you pay 1. Mistake for Blizzard Bolt.
Wonderful. So
It's 4, it's a yellow. and +1 for Ice Quake. So 5 total.
5 total.
Go
So
again.
5 is a really annoying breakpoint number because my defense reactions block for 4. So this is, and how many cards do you have left? 2.
2 and a Blizzard Bolt in my arsenal.
Feel like I'm going to be using all my cards here. So what's the best way to do this? I think the best way to do this is actually start using a piece of armor. So I'm on lower life. It's probably a good opportunity to use the skull cap for 2 and a barraging beatdown for 5.
5 total.
Yes, 2 from the skull cap, 3 from the red barraging beatdown.
Okay. With 3 cards in hand, I'm pretty sure I won't be able to push any damage this turn. I will just be able to remove some cards from his hand, which is not my strategy. So I think I will set up maximum damage for next turn with my third counter on Tunic. So do I want to keep 1 or 2 cards in my arsenal? That's the question. Yeah, it seems to me impossible to push damages with 1 more attack this turn only. So I will set up maximum damage for next turn. I will go to end of my turn, trying to arsenal and pass.
Cool. So my skull cap gets a counter.
And because it's Rhinar, he doesn't have a lot of go again, usually. So if you have like 2 or 3 cards in hand, it's almost the same amount of damage when he strikes back.
Okay, so my turn, I'll take up the tunic. And because I have a frostbite, I have to pitch for my attack. So I pitch a yellow pummel for 2 and a sink below red for 3. And I will play Wild Ride. This melts the frostbite. It's a 6 attack. And when you attack with it, you draw and discard. And if the card that you discard has 6 power, the card gains go again. So I
Okay.
draw and I discard a yellow pummel. So this is a
Lucky
friend.
me.
Yeah, lucky you indeed. Friendly 6.
I'm gonna use pretty much all my hand next turn, and the card I won't be able to use will be really sweet in my arsenal. So I will take 6.
Okay.
Is it 22 to 26?
It is indeed.
Okay.
And that will be the end of my turn.
Okay, I will pick up my tunic. I will, to give go again to my arrow, I need to remove some space from my arsenal. So I will give you Frostbite, revealing Lexi, using Lexi, revealing Ice card.
Cool. I have no response to that, so I will take your frostbite.
And for the 0, I will ask you to discard a card unless you pay 1 and go again.
This is getting oppressive, Pierre. I will pitch a blue pummel.
Okay, you have 2 resources. So I will use Voltaire once pitching a blue. To put a bolt and shot and give +1. And I will shoot it. It's a yellow, so it's for 4. Go again. If it hits, reload.
And you have 2 cards in hand?
Yes.
Okay, so finally an attack for 4, which is, well, kind of good because our Defense Reacts line up for 4. It's really annoying when things come in for 5. How do I want to handle this one? So I have a Frostbite, but I have these 2 floating resources, so that's not going to be too much of an issue. I have a Defense React in my hand that's costly because it makes me discard another card. So it might be time to use the secret source in the arsenal. We definitely do want to block this. The one problem I've got is like this being in the arsenal is fantastic against Rain Razors. If Pierre ever wants to try and trick me and make me block and then play a Rain Razors to push through an on hit, I have the counter for that. So it's, do I want the counter in the arsenal or do I want less cards to block with this turn? Is that a red Blizzard Bolt in your arsenal?
Yeah.
So that's
Attacks
5.
for 5.
So I'm probably going to end up using both of them this turn. Is there a better way of doing this? Ideally, I'd like to end up with a blue in hand at the end of this turn, but I don't think that's going to be possible. This is a tricky one. I think it's more scary if I use the defense reaction from Arsenal, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll say no blocks and move to reactions. If you have no reactions,
No.
I will play Fateful Scene, red, blocking for 4 and opting 1.
Okay.
I look at the top card of my deck and decide if I want to keep that. The card I'm considering is Reckless Swing. I'm actually going to put that to the bottom because I need to find Blood Rush Bellows pretty quickly, and I don't really want defense tricks that cost me more of my hand. So that will go to the bottom, and I will block for 4.
I pay 1, I use Voltaire once again, and I give +1 to my Bolt and Shot. And I will attack for 4, go again. It's a yellow once again.
So I'm not too concerned with the on hit here. And I'm not too concerned with... So Blizzard Bolt, it gives me a Frostbite if I take the damage, is that correct?
Only if it's Fuse.
Okay. I mean, I kind of have to guess that it's fused. Okay, let's go for a cheeky 50-50. I'll say no blocks and move to reactions.
No.
I will play Reckless Swing.
Okay.
So, sorry, I should have paid 1 for the floating for the Frostbite.
Yeah.
For the Fateful Scene. That's why it was there. So, yeah.
1, 2, 3 on our left. It's a 1.
That's an Alpha Rampage. So 2 damage coming at you.
Yep.
Down to 20.
20. And it blocks for
4.
4. Okay, so you take no damage. I cannot reload. And now if I pass an arsenal, I won't be able to give a go again to my arrow, but except if I sacrifice my Snapdragon scalers. So I will just keep 1 card in arsenal. And I will attack for 5, no go again.
So I have a 6-point life lead. My hand is a blue Wrecker Rump, so I don't really want to arsenal this. I think what I want to be doing is kind of trading a little bit, as I was saying, trying to get to that point where Blood Rush Bellows is uber threatening. So I think I'm kind of happy trading here 5 damage for a claw attack back, and trying to block out and find a way that I can get a Blood Rush Bellows into my arsenal. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take your 5 down to 21.
21 to 20. I will arsenal and pass.
Cool. Ooh. Bit of a disaster there. So my turn, I will tick up the Fiandor's Spring Tunic, and I will simply pitch my blue Wrecker Rump, and this time the left claw is coming for you. It's important to balance attacking between the left and the right claw to keep them guessing.
Okay. I'm going to take it.
Frightening. All right, down to 17, and then that's the end of my turn. So over to you.
I will pitch Voltaire. Frostlock is an amazing card, but it's not against Rhinar that you want to use it. And I will give go again to Blizzard Bolt. And I will attack you for 4. Go again. And I will fuse it. So if it hits, you get a Frostbite.
Okay, cool. So this is now an interesting point because I've actually drawn one of the Blood Rush Bellows I was looking for, but I've also managed to get a Command and Conquer in my hand as well. Ideally, I'd like a turn which will kind of try and let me pivot a bit, where I can play Command and Conquer that demands some respect, maybe a card or so, and Arsenal the Bellow, and maybe the following turn will be a bit weaker for Pierre, and I might be able to sneak through and start smashing with the Bellow. This means I'd have to be using my armor. I really don't want a Frostbite, and my skull cap is not turned on. So you said 5, is that correct?
4.
4.
4, go again.
Okay, let's try and get the Command and Conquer off. And if we can't, then we're just going to block with everything and blood Rush Bellows in our arsenal. So we're going to block for 5, which isn't the most efficient, but it is what it is.
So, sorry, you block for?
5.
5, okay. I will break the chain and play the Amulet of Ice.
Okay.
And I attack with a fatigue shot. For 5, no go again. If it hits, your next attack will be rounded, will be halved, rounded up.
Okay, so I could block this for 6 with my Command and Conquer and Barraging Beatdown, and then just Arsenal Blood Rush Bellow. But Pierre doesn't block so well with his armor, and he has to respect Command and Conquer. So I could just take 5 and attack with CNC next turn. It's only for 3, but it is a guaranteed card, I think, which might make the Blood Rush Bellow turn a bit better. If I block with 2 cards, I leave myself open. It's an instant, isn't it? The
Yes.
ability, yeah. So I leave myself open. So in this situation, I'm going to take 5.
Okay.
16.
16 to 17. And my question is it the turn that I want to use the Amulet of Ice? I think so. I am not supposed to know what is your hand, so I'll try to see if I didn't have the information, would have done it. 3 cards in hand, I'm at 17, I think so. So because I fuse this turn, Ice Fuse, I will ask you to discard a card unless you pay 2.
Wonderful. So this is out the equation. I can use my tunic. No, I can't. I guess I'm just losing Command and Conquer and attacking for 3. I think that's the play. Yeah, that's what we're doing. All right. I'll discard a Command and Conquer, which I'm sure is
Okay.
scary for you.
I will arsenal and pass.
Cool. So my tunic will tick up to 3, and I will simply pitch a yellow barraging beatdown. Attack you with the left claw.
Okay, I will try something. I take 3.
Okay.
14.
And then I'll arsenal a mysterious card and pass to you.
Okay. I will start with an Art of War. Giving +1 to my attack this turn. And I will banish a blue button shot to draw 2 cards.
Very nice.
I use Voltaire. And I will give go again to my Endless Arrow. And I will attack for 5 go again, thanks to the Art of War.
So I want to full block this Endless Arrow because it's an annoying card. My hand is interesting. It has explosive potential. I kind of want to keep as much of it as possible. And if Pierre's entire turn revolves around casting multiple copies of the same Endless Arrow, then I want to be stopping that. So I am going to block with my Scab Skin Levers because my school cap is turned off and pass to reactions.
I have no attack reactions.
Okay, amazingly, I don't have a Frostbite, so I'll play a Sink Below.
Okay.
And I choose not to sink anything because the rest of my hand lines up quite nicely.
Okay. Is it 5 total?
5 total.
Okay, so that's the perfect moment for me to play Rain Razors as an instant.
Very nice.
So he goes to 7.
Okay, so I have no responses. I go to 14.
Yes. And this go back into my hand. So now there is +3 to my arrows and +1 to my non-arrow attacks. I will play Voltaire. And put maybe the same endless arrow, who knows? And give it go again. How many cards do you have?
3.
Okay, I will attack for 7. Go again. If it hits, it will go back into my hand.
So in this situation, I think the only way I'm winning the game is probably by giving you a tunic. So I'm going to take 7 and go to 7.
CC will go back into my hand.
Yep.
And I have go again. I will use the Bull Libraries. If I have no card in my arsenal, I can put an arrow face up. It gains +1. And now we'll attack for 7, 8, no go again.
8, no go again.
But I still have the scalers.
8, no go again. It's not looking great for our brute fans.
as often, I want to say. I mean, Brute is a good class.
Kind of want it to be on 1 and have 2 Blood Rush Bellows, but that's probably not happening now. And you have 2 cards left. That's kind of scary. That's very scary. I mean, we could try to get lucky. We could like. How would you reload? There's nothing you can do that would reload, right?
No, but I still have the go again. So if I have a non-arrow attack in my hand, I could shoot for another attack.
Just trying to work out if there's a way I can survive and have a turn. I'm not sure there is. At which point, it might be better just to full block the arrow. 8 is an annoying number. Wait, so you don't have go again unless you use the scalers, right? Or it has go again?
No, it doesn't have go again right now.
Okay, I'm gonna block for 6. And 7. Do I block for 4? Go to 3. Is that better? Block for 4 and go to 3. Yeah, I'm gonna block for 4 and go to 3. And yeah. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, that's right.
So block for 4, I will have attack reaction and give it go again.
Cool.
No defense reaction. Go to 3. Okay. This go back into my hand. And I will pitch 3 to attack for 4. 5 with the Art of War, because the Rain Razor is +1, but this is not an arrow, so 5, no go again, 1 resource left.
Anyone hit?
You get a Frostbite.
Wonderful. Wasn't quite able to set up that turn. Okay, I will block 6 with a blue barraging beatdown and a swing big.
Arsenal,
Swing through.
Arsenal and pass.
I was in such a bad spot that I was feeling I have to gamble that the Snapdragons, there's nothing that could be used for the Snapdragons, and I can have a go.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's really rare. There is a very few blue non-arrow attacks in the deck, which are not that big, and they are few. But I was lucky enough to set it up.
I'll pass back to you. Yeah, if that wasn't the case, I think I could have had a chance at something spicy, but that's cool.
Okay, so let's try to make you discard your hand every turn. I don't know if I will be able to do it, but I will try. I will use the tunic, play 3 of a kind.
Nice.
1, 2, and 3. Now I have to use Lexi to make a new space in my arsenal. So we pitch blue to use Voltaire once and give go again to the Chilling Ice Vein. And for 1, I will shoot it for 5 go again. No on it, no fuse.
5 go again. It not having an on hit makes things tricky. I could just throw a defense react in front of it, but what's coming? Is it endless arrow? And the endless arrow is a problem? I think 2 more arrows are coming my way. One being an endless. I think what I'm going to do here is probably die to Art of War. Smash Instinct, yellow for 3.
No reactions.
Okay. So I take 2, go to 1.
Go to 1. And use Voltaire again. And I will give go again to this Chilling Ice Vein. And I pitch yellow. Give it go again with Voltaire and attack for 5 go again.
Feel like I'm never winning this game. We got close to setting things up, but wasn't quite there. So yeah, I'll block for 6 with a Wrecker Romp and a Barraging Bighorn.
Endless arrow with no go again, attacking for 4.
I will block with a Sink Below, and I will not sink anything, surprisingly.
Arsenal and pass.
Cool. I will just draw up and pass back to you. We need to pray for one of those 0 arrow, 0 attack hands.
Pick up my tunic. And I will play 3 of a kind, pitching a yellow. And draw 3. 1, 2, and 3. won't be a surprise, but I need to reveal it to create a new space in my arsenal. In order to use Voltaire and give go again to that endless arrow. And I will attack 4. 4 and go again.
So we have 1 no block in our hand, which means we're only blocking with 3 cards. I can't block this for 6 because it means I probably can't block a 5 attack and I'll die, so I have to give my opponent a tunic. We do have a wild ride in our hand, which is a big problem. But there's not much we can do aside from block for 6.
Okay. So there is no use for me now to use my Art of War right now. So I can save it for later and use Voltaire to give +1 to my Pathing Helix, because I won't be able to shoot another arrow even if I give go again. And because if it hits, my opponent is dead, so I won't be able to reload. So I attack for 5, and I'm threatening 6 with the Art of War.
And at this point, I die because I have a 3 block, a tunic, and a 0 block. So I will nobly throw my equipment and barraging beat down at you, and then yield.
GG, man.
GG, dude. Well played.
Yeah, it was great to see this matchup because you will tell us about the Rhinar point of view, but from the Lexi point of view, I confirm what I said in the introduction. Lexi is a really difficult deck to play and to order and play the card in the right order, especially with 3 of a kind, which is weird when you cannot play card from your hand. What do we want to set up? What do we want to reveal? Do you want arrows or ice cards in your arsenal, depending on the matchup, I guess? So it's really interesting, and it was playing a lot with the deck. And I'm pretty sure that's one of the hero I will be happy to play after Chain is gone. And I think that the Yuki advice is great. Try to push as much damage as you can every 2 turns, and the other turn you set up for next turn. The breaking point of this game, I think, was when I played Rain Razors and Art of War in the same turn. My arrow had +3. I didn't shoot 6 or 5 like when Lexi can do crazy turns. Only 2 or 3 can be enough, with some pretty annoying on its effect. So yeah, I think I love this deck, and I advise you to play it, especially if you have wild decks in your meta. What about the Rhinar point of view, Jonny?
I think miserable might be a fair description. The Lexi deck is very oppressive. I found myself on the back foot. As I said, the game plan: find the Blood Rush Bellows and try and set that up. We didn't find the Blood Rush Bellows for the first few turns, which meant that we were not really able to execute our game plan, and we were kind of under a considerable amount of pressure. Blocking is really tough because Lexi is coming in for things for 5, and a lot of our stuff blocks for 4 or 6. So you're either being inefficient or you're leaking a bit of damage and those damage can have on a hit, and even like 1 frostbite can be quite backbreaking in a lot of situations, especially as my defense reacts a 0 cost. So it was tough. I do think it's possible if Lexi has an off turn or one of those setup turns as being described, and things line up with the early Blood Rush Bellows, then maybe I could get some pressure through, and maybe the representation in the game is slightly different. But the relentless onslaught of arrows is always going to happen. Finding Blood Rush Bellows, which is pretty much the key, is not always going to happen. And I think that makes Lexi a favorite in this matchup. I don't think it's unwinnable for Rhinar, but I do think that Lexi is definitely the side of the table I'd rather be behind.
But you still think it would be a really good choice for after Starvo and Chain will be gone, and when Prism will probably be a tier 1 deck and will be everywhere, depending of uprising, obviously, but
Absolutely, and we don't know how well Rhinar will play into these other heroes as well. Like Rhinar might be quite good against Icelander, because Rhinar's not looking to, apart from Blood Rush Bellow turns, Rhinar's not really looking to do like incredibly complex multi go again turns. It's like whack whack, here you go, take my damage or not. So somebody like a wizard that doesn't use as much armor might find themselves in a bit of a sticky situation. But as you say, Prism could rise to the top, and this deck's fantastic against Prism. And again, the element of surprise really can catch people. I think a lot of people will be focused on playing their pet hero or their deck that they want to play against the new heroes in the Uprising meta that come from the new set, rather than taking a glance backwards and looking at what could come, from history rather from future.
thank you very much for all those insights. It was a great pleasure to do this series for LSS. Again, thank you very much to everyone. Thank you, Jonny, and we see you soon. Bye bye.